A tsunami had just torn through the Indian Ocean. Governments scrambled to find survivors. When a rescue helicopter dipped low over this tiny forested island, a man ran out of the trees, not to ask for help, but to fire an arrow at the machine in the sky. That single shot became world famous. But here's the twist. It wasn't a random outburst. It was policy, generations deep. Tonight, we're going inside the story of the Sentinelese, the most defended, least contacted community on Earth, and why staying away from us may be the smartest survival strategy any human group has ever chosen. North Sentinel Island sits in the Bay of Bengal, within India's Andaman and Nicobar archipelago. But geographically, it's closer to Southeast Asia than to mainland India. The island's roughly 60 square kilometers of dense rainforest are wrapped in a jagged coral moat. No deep harbor, no easy landing beach. Larger boats ground out on reef long before shore. In other words, geography did half the guarding, culture did the rest.
Everything you're about to hear is built from flyovers, shipboard sightings, and a handful of tightly controlled coastal encounters. We don't know what the Sentinelese call themselves. However, the neighboring Ongi tribe reportedly refers to them as Chanku Ate. We don't know what their language is related to. We haven't recorded a vocabulary. Population estimates range maybe 50 to 150 people. Healthy enough to persist, but small enough that a single introduced flu could be catastrophic. So every data point comes with a caution label. The island's ring of shallow coral makes approach tricky even in calm seas. In rough water, it's a ship shredder. Historically, wrecks supplied metal, but they also taught the islanders what happens when outsiders wash up. The 2004 megaquake actually lifted parts of the island by up to a couple meters, exposing even more reef shelf. An accidental expansion of their natural defensive wall. For centuries, these islands were hit by slave raiders, Malay, Burmese, Chinese, who snatched people for sale across the region. If strangers landed, people disappeared. Then came the British. In 1880, an officer named Maurice Vidal Portman landed on North Sentinel with an armed party. They grabbed an elderly couple and 4 children and hauled them to the colonial capital, Port Blair. The adults died quickly, almost certainly disease. The terrified children were returned with gifts. Imagine that memory echoing through a tiny community. Boats arrive, people taken, elders die. After that, stay away becomes policy, not paranoia. After Indian independence, the strategy flipped from colonial punishment raids to cautious outreach. Teams from the Anthropological Survey of India spent decades motoring up to the reef line, leaving piles of coconuts, bananas, and bits of iron. Early visits in the 1970s, arrows. Film director hit. By the 1980s, a pattern emerged. The islanders let the boats come close, waited, then collected the loot once outsiders backed off. Not friendly, just risk-managed. Then something astonishing. January 4th, 1991. A team including anthropologist Madhumala Chattopadhyay approaches. For the first time, Sentinelese come forward, unarmed, and take coconuts directly from the water. No arrows, no retreat. Weeks later, a man actually climbs into the boat to grab more. Boundaries still snap back fast, linger too long, and not opened. It proves a crucial point. After the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami, reconnaissance helicopters checking for survivors got the famous arrow greeting. Global media branded the tribe as fierce. Nuance gone. Policy reinforced. In 2006, 2 fishermen poaching crabs anchored illegally nearby. Their boat drifted ashore while they slept. They were killed. A recovery helicopter was driven off by arrows. The bodies stayed on the beach. Message received. Boundary lethal. In 2018, American missionary John Allen Chau paid fishermen to smuggle him past patrols. First approach, arrow hits his Bible. He returns anyway. Final landing, he's killed. Witnesses offshore see the body dragged and buried. International headlines explode. India reaffirms its no-contact stance. Around the world, one hard rule finally sticks. Leave the Sentinelese alone. From boats show small coastal camps and larger inland shelters. Some roofed communal structures with multiple hearths, plus light lean-tos for short trips. Bands move, not a single village. They hunt wild pigs and monitor lizards, gather forest foods, raid turtle nests, and shoot fish in the shallows with longbows. Shell middens, huge piles of roasted mollusks, suggest heavy use of the lagoon. Women wear fiber strings. Both sexes use shell or bark ornaments. One recorded group dance.
women slapping their thighs in chorus. Outsiders killed on the beaches have been buried there, suggesting a ritual line between us and them. And no, there's zero credible evidence of cannibalism, despite old tabloid myths. In 1932, Bonington noted that the Sentinelese reportedly buried their infants within their huts, often under layers of shells, a detail offering a small but poignant look at their rituals.
Media still calls them a Stone Age tribe. Wrong. They salvage iron from shipwrecks, cold forge it into arrow and tooltips, and mix it seamlessly adaptation on their terms, not a culture frozen in time. As for fire, Sentinelese camps show clear signs of independent fireplaces and nighttime torchlight, but no one's ever witnessed them making fire. Their close relatives, the Andamanese, couldn't create fire either. Instead, they preserved embers, carrying smoldering logs between camps to keep the flame alive. It's likely the Sentinelese do the same, keeping fire going across generations without ever needing to spark it anew.
India legally sealed the island decades ago under the Andaman and Nicobar Islands Protection of Aboriginal Tribes Regulation. North Sentinel is a tribal reserve. You can't land, can't take resources, can't even cruise inside a 5 nautical mile exclusion zone without permission. Patrols push boats back. A brief 2018 tourism policy tweak confused things, but after the Chau incident, the hard ban was restated loud and clear. So what's right? Camp 1, human rights groups. They've said no, respect self-determination. Even a cold could kill them. Camp 2, some anthropologists. Total isolation can't last forever. Better controlled contact with vaccines than a chaotic first meeting with poachers. Camp 3. Debate later, first secure their borders from intruders. Every side claims to act in the tribe's best interest. The one voice missing? The Sentinelese themselves. Because, by definition, we can't ask.
In a hyper-connected world, we assume everyone wants in. The Sentinelese show another possible answer: survival through refusal. Their history says contact kills. Their policy has worked. Maybe the most respectful kind of curiosity is a distant one. Protect the perimeter. Let them choose, if they ever choose. Genomic studies suggest that the ancestors of the Sentinelese migrated from Africa tens of thousands of years ago, diverging from other human groups nearly 24,000 years back. That's not just isolation, it's legacy.
If you want more deep dives into places history can barely touch, hit subscribe. Drop your questions below and tell me, should the outside world ever try to talk to the Sentinelese? Or is no the final word?